Hello everybody, my name is Joshua Kyan Aalampour. In this video, I want to react to some of my earliest compositions. It's been a while since I've last personally listened to some of these, but also I think it'll be pretty interesting to take a look at these with you guys since I haven't really formally published a lot of these pieces. So let's take a trip down memory lane. Now I think a little bit of context can be useful. I started my musical journey on October 10th, 2017 when I was 16 years old. The way I got started was a little bit weird. Basically, we were living in China at the time. I was born in the US, but in my entire life, I've lived about 7 years in China. Prior to that moment, I didn't really have any sort of affection for classical music, but my parents wanted me to try out a piano lesson. I wanted to appease them, so I said yes. Now, even though I wasn't really a classical music fan at the time, I did know one piece, and that was Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. I didn't know anything about Beethoven. I didn't know anything about, how this stuff works. I just knew that I liked the way it sounded. So I asked her as like a long-term goal, if we decided to continue with lessons, if I could potentially learn the first movement of that piece. So I show up to my first piano lesson. I should also mention that I was not the only person that was going with her into her classroom. There were a bunch of little kids coming along with me for their lessons and their parents. I was 16 at the time, and I don't believe that it's ever too late to start, but it was a little bit embarrassing to me, at least at the time, that I was significantly older than the rest of the kids there. I mean, everyone else was like 7 or 8 years old, so literally like half my age. And there's no privacy whatsoever. So we go in, we sit down, and she pulls out the sheet music to Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, and she puts it right there in front of me on the piano, and she asks me to sight read it. I'm just like shocked and nervous because you have to understand, at this point in time, I'm a complete beginner, and here she is asking me to sight read, even though Moonlight Sonata, okay, it's a simpler piece, like that is still way beyond me. So I make it known to her that you need to start at an even simpler level with me. And I don't know what was going on with her that day, if something personally happened earlier that day that really just pissed her off, but she was extremely impatient with me. I won't go into the details, but she was scolding me and, in my opinion, overreacting quite a bit. It eventually ends up with her kicking me out of her class. I was there for probably like 10 or 15 minutes. So anyways, I marched back home, and usually if something like this happens, nothing like this specifically has happened, but that sense of just rejection has definitely happened to me many times before. I would just brush it off. I would try not to take it too seriously, but I was so upset, and I had a lot of pent-up emotions from months leading up to this moment, from all the financial hardships my family had to go through and a lot of personal and family problems that I really didn't like that were happening. So I made it my #1 priority to prove her wrong. She made a very big deal about me not being able to read sheet music, so I wanted to learn how to play the piano without knowing how to read sheet music. At the time, I was supposed to be attending the 10th grade, but I wasn't in school, so I had all the free time in the world and started practicing the piano for an average of 6 hours a day. I would use MIDI or synthesia videos off of the internet to learn new pieces because you don't need to know how to read sheet music to follow those. I was doing pretty well, but somewhere around the 2-week-ish mark of this journey, I had accidentally composed something. At that time, I didn't know anything about music theory. I knew the notes of the piano, that I learned. The black notes, still a little bit shaky on, but all I knew was that when my left hand played a certain type of 3 notes at the same time, so a chord, and my right hand played some other specific notes, so a melody, I liked it. It sounded good to me. So without knowing any music theory, just by ear, I was trying to figure out what I liked and what I didn't like. I very quickly became super obsessive with this stuff. It became like an emotional outlet. It became a friend to me, which is something I very desperately needed. So from that point forward, I no longer cared about proving that teacher wrong, and a composer was born. So okay, long intro, but I figured some context might not be a bad idea. So let's take a look at the actual pieces that were composed around this time. So like late 2017, early 2018, just like about months into my journey as a composer. So the very first one is called Indifesa, Bagatelle #1 in G minor, Opus 1, #2, romantic piano music. Joshua Kyan, 4K. This was posted on my YouTube channel January 6, 2018. So let's see.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Joshua Kyan today.
Oh God, okay, let's keep going.
Today I'm joined by this awesome piano over here, and I'm gonna play a piece that I composed. It's called Indifesa.
There's actually kind of a funny story about how I got access to that piano. So the keyboard that I had and that I was practicing doing my 6 hours of practice on was a pretty cheap electric keyboard. It cost about 100 RMB, which is the equivalent roughly about 16 US dollars. It didn't have all the keys. It had 61 keys and there's no hammer action whatsoever. Basically, I was desperate to play on like a real physical piano, an acoustic piano. So my youngest brother, Jared, had soccer practice at my old middle school. I knew that they had these pianos in certain rooms. And so what I would do is I would drop my brother off at the soccer field and then I would pretend like I'm going to the bathroom and then I would accidentally find myself in front of one of these rooms that had the pianos in them. But the issue was the doors were always locked. So I used to climb through the upper windows and sneak my way in to these rooms. Anyways, let's keep going.
It's a bagatelle in G minor.
I'm like almost certain I had just learned what the word bagatelle meant and I was looking for the first chance to show that off.
I posed this about a week and a half ago. So yeah.
Okay, no, for real, though, for real. We start off soft. Gotta readjust myself, you know. That's the main theme. That's the main theme to this piece, or like the A theme to this piece. Yeah, oh my god, that is old. Very simple chords. If you know music theory, then you can analyze. It's a tonic, so dominant, dominant. It's pretty straightforward. Oh my god. Crescendo! 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 This took me forever to practice. I'm sorry, that scale, I know that was like a really choppy scale, but I was really proud of myself at the time. Like that was hard, okay? You have to understand, like, okay, anyway, sorry. Speeding things up. Oh my god, this is early Joshua. This is really early Joshua. I think this is literally the second thing I ever wrote. I remember later on, I want to say like maybe 6 months later or something like that, I did revise this track and it sounds like this. This is the revised version. That's not the scale it's supposed to sound like. Little ornaments. Bass notes! Oh my god, and then it goes back to its, its soft character again. I always find it interesting when you look at composers' earlier works and you compare them to the works that they've composed later on in their life. Like when you listen to like Liszt's Diabelli variations that he wrote when I think he was like 11, you can hear hints of just Liszt in there. And I feel like you can tell that this is like early Joshua Kyan Aalampour. It's just like I was dramatic from day one. So anyways, that's that. Hello everyone, this is Joshua from the future. As I'm editing this video, I realize it's way longer than I thought it would be. So I think I'm gonna split this video into multiple parts instead of having one big video, with this video being part 1. So if you enjoyed this video, be on the lookout for part 2, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.